Great. Well, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to OIC Brighton on a very beautiful spring day. This is really an opportunity for me to look back on the spring term and to update you and all of our community on everything that's been happening this term and also looking ahead to next summer term. So thank you so much for joining us. You should be able to see a Q&A icon on your screen. Please do use that to ask any questions that you may have, and we'll have a look at questions towards the end of the webinar. So at any point, if a question occurs to you, then please do add that in, and then we can do our best to answer those at the end of the session. So welcome and thanks for joining us. I've got this beautiful photo on the screen of Ovingdean Hall in this wonderful blue sky, and that's very much what it looked like here this morning. But I'm looking out of my window as I speak to you, and this wonderful sea mist has just started rolling in, and it does that. We're so close to the sea, as lots of you will be aware, that we have this wonderful changeable weather. It's quite exciting. So I know British people love talking about the weather, but this is why. But the campus is looking really beautiful, and there have been lots of opportunities recently for people to spend lots of time outside, which I will share with you. So looking back at the spring term, it does feel like it's gone incredibly quickly. We've got another week. We're in the middle of mock exams, and then our spring holiday starts on the 4th of April. But this term, there's been a real focus on university offers, real excitement about that, which I'm really happy to share with you today. We've had lots of themed weeks and activities, and that's partly determined by national events like British Science Week and World Book Day, but it's always a really exciting time for the wider curriculum at this time of year. And then, of course, there's such an important focus this term for examination year groups. And as I say, we're in the middle of mock examinations this week and next week. But for our first ever year 13 students, of course, they're in the throes of the final stage of A-level preparations. I'd like to just spend some time sharing with you our university offers so far. We've had just such a range of really exciting offers. We're still waiting for some of the medicine, and some of the London universities tend to be a bit slower, as do some of the international universities. So students waiting for those won't hear until possibly end of April or even May. But I think what these slides show you is just the real range of specialisms and passions and interests that our first ever graduating cohort have. And I know that the OIC model in its original form is very well known for STEM and for preparation for medicine. And our science department continues to be an enormous strength here. Wonderful facilities, wonderful teaching. But as you can see from the pathways that our first ever year 13 are choosing, there is a really exciting breadth of interest. So everything from psychological and behavioural sciences at Cambridge to biochemistry at King's. We've got lots of economics and economics related courses. You can see here at Bristol, at Edinburgh, really fantastic universities. And then some really fascinating courses like drug discovery, chemistry for drug discovery at the University of Bath, for example, sport and exercise and medical sciences at UCL. And one student who's wanting to study sport and exercise medical sciences also has offers from universities in the US, which are really the top universities in the world to study such a specialist course. And this picture continues with some really exciting offers in recently. LSE and Imperial make their decisions around this time of year, so we're expecting a few more in. But for aeronautical engineering, Imperial, straight chemistry at Imperial, and you can see some really exciting offers from Warwick and from fantastic universities like Manchester, Nottingham. Some medicine offers are in already, and some more interviews and offers still to go. We've got veterinary medicine offers from Glasgow. It's actually more than one student who at the moment are thinking of studying veterinary medicine at Glasgow, and some wonderful offers, as you can see, including locally in Sussex for economics and finance. So really exciting time for our Year 13 students. More offers still to come, I know, but we're very excited about what the future holds for them. So I mentioned that this time of year has a particular focus on exam preparation, and that's why our exam classes are doing mock exams at the moment, just to really focus their attention on areas that they can improve ahead of the spring holiday, which is a really important revision period for them. How do we support our students with this? We have a super study program this term, which means that more of our students are expected to be in supervised study during their independent study periods. This is based on need, so we look at students for whom there's still work to be done, improvements to be made in their grades, or perhaps that we haven't seen them making the progress we're expecting them to make, or within the boarding house or within their academic teams, an identification that perhaps they haven't quite got independent study skills quite right. So supervised study means that when you walk around campus at the moment during independent study lessons, which is particularly Year 12 and 13 students, they are very busy, whether it's in the Pioneers Cafe or in the Peacock Room or in one of the boarding common areas. They are studying quietly and independently. We've also had a company called Elevate Education who came to address all of our students about the best approach to revision and give them really hands-on revision guidance and practical tips. And we move away from the SCITS program for examination cohorts now because they have mocks and then the real things after Easter. And so they have supervised study and past paper sessions on Saturdays when they would have had SCITS, which again, they're able to do in silence and supervised examination conditions, but a really good opportunity for them to keep working on their revision and exam technique. We're in the middle of mock exams, as I mentioned, and we've also been talking to Year 12 students about the decision around entering them for AS exams. So we have a programme at OIC Brighton where our students are prepared for the AS exam at the end of Year 12. And there are some real advantages of having an AS exam because it's an externally assessed qualification. It keeps the Year 12 students really focused on that outcome at the end of the academic year. And universities can see, as well as GCSEs, oh, look, this student has got externally assessed grades at the end of Year 12, and that gives them a really good sense of the direction that student is going in. However, it's not compulsory, and it's increasingly unusual for candidates for UK universities to have AS grades to declare. So really advantageous for students who perhaps didn't do GCSEs, they came out of a different education system. It gives them an opportunity to have these externally assessed exams, but not essential, not required, and quite unusual for universities to see. So our strategic approach is that if a student is not going to get top grades, the top grade at AS is an A. If a student is not going to get that top grade, then it's better not to take the AS examination because they will have to declare the grade on their UCAS form, and it can count against them if the grade is less than what they need it to be. And so we've been having those strategic conversations with Year 12 right now, last week, the week before, about whether or not they're going to enter the AS exam in any given subject, or whether instead they'll do our internal mock exams, our predicted grade assessments, and use those as a basis for their predictions in the autumn for university entry. We've also just run our big IELTS examination. We're very fortunate here at OIC Brighton that we have IELTS exams that take place here on campus. So we had more than 50 students taking IELTS last Saturday, largely Year 12. And we have a really comprehensive programme to ensure that our students are getting exactly the scores that they require for the specific courses that they want to go and do. And although our students tend to find IELTS a bit difficult. Maybe that's not, they didn't want to continue studying English, or they didn't want to do languages, but it is really supporting them with those university entries, either because they need to meet the terms of the offers they now hold, or that they can apply for universities that have that high threshold of English language requirement. So really busy time for our exams team and for all our students. I wanted to share some more general site updates. As you know, ours is a busy and developing campus, and the needs and usage of the space have changed considerably in this second year of operating as we've grown as a college. We're now refurbishing a theatre space that had been out of use since we opened. That will give us raked seating, staging, and a really useful performance space, but also an important examination hall. So that work is underway, and the students will be really excited when that opens up in time for examinations in the summer. We ran our first full lockdown drill. So this is something that's a really important part of the safety and security of our students, and is a requirement for all Nord Anglia schools. And this means that should there be, let's say, an incident in the local area, or perhaps a security risk to our campus, we have drills, and the students know exactly what to do, involving shutting doors, closing blinds, remaining in a safe and silent space. And I'm very pleased to report that the students were brilliant. They knew exactly what they needed to do, and it means that we've got a really safe drill in place so that we know what to do in case of incident. I'm very pleased to say that ours remains an incredibly secure campus in a very safe and very harmonious part of the world. In fact, I think our students are the most exciting and noisy thing about Ovingdean, probably. But it's really important, and I'm sure reassuring for our parents to know that these are in place. We've increased the capacity of the medical centre, which I know has been some feedback we've received from parents. So there's now an additional medical bay available in the medical centre. We have a new college nurse starting after Easter, and I look forward to introducing her to our wider community in due course. We've opened the Pioneers Cafe, as you can see on screen here, for a wider range of snacks and drinks available to our students and colleagues during the day. So to supplement the food that is available to them during meal times, this is for coffees and hot drinks, and there's even a bubble tea station. I know that as parents, you were asked to fill in funds on parent pay so that students can use their ID cards to pay for drinks and snacks if they choose to do so. They can also now use normal payment cards. So we've made that a bit simpler because the feedback from students was that that might be a little easier. So there's a range of snacks and hot drinks and so on available there, which is a really popular addition to our provision. We've had lots of interesting ideas and feedback about how best to provide a range of sports activities for our students. And it's something that I've been so pleased to see developing consistently and continuously since we first opened. So we've got fantastic outdoor space, and we've got a fantastic fitness suite, and our students really do make the most of both of those. And we've also got some great local facilities that we're able to access. So we've spoken to our students. We've got Rebecca Ashdown, our fantastic PE specialist, has been in post since January. And she's developed a really exciting program so that in each PE lesson, the students are choosing from usually 4 different activities with visiting specialists. So they might be having football or basketball coaching. They might be doing a CrossFit fitness session with visiting CrossFit coaches who use the gym, and then often running past my window and doing lots of quite tough exercise. Or they're doing yoga with a visiting yoga specialist. So there's a real range of options, and that will be updated again for the summer term with a new set of options with more outdoor opportunities as the weather improves. We've also made the most of local fixtures with competitor schools. So our students have been off playing basketball, volleyball and football against Hurstpierpoint and Seaford and Rodine, and have secured some excellent victories. I know our basketball team is, I believe, unbeaten. And that's been a real pleasure because the students gain a lot from the experience of playing in those admittedly very friendly fixtures against other schools, but it also gives them the chance to hone their teamwork and their sports aptitude. We've started to use the beach volleyball facility down on the seafront in Brighton, so playing on sand, which is quite tough. We have a volleyball specialist in the boarding team who you can see in the picture here, and that's been really popular with our students as well. And we're in round one of a very friendly, informal teachers and students tennis tournament, which continues after the spring break. I've been paired with an extremely talented tennis player in year 9, so I think my chances of getting through to the final is quite high, but it's not thanks to my tennis skills. But it's been really lovely to see students and teachers playing together, and it's the kind of thing that I think presents an excellent balance to what is otherwise a very hard-working and studious time of the year. We've got a big sports day that's held in a local athletics centre in June, which we very much look forward to. And our year 9 students initially, but quite a lot of our students are opting in for the East Brighton Park runs that take place on Saturdays. And they were very successful in the 5K last Saturday, I know. As you're aware, Nord Anglia gives us the opportunity for a whole range of exciting collaborations and a network of schools all across the world. So the collaboration that you're probably familiar with is with MIT. Such an exciting opportunity for staff and students, and it's also a very exciting university which lots of our students aspire to attend. So we have these termly challenges set by MIT specialists who offer guidance and suggestions and then judge the students' work. And that's led by Cornelius, one of our science team here at OIC Brighton. So they're currently looking at the puzzle of the plus minus game, which is kind of a computing challenge. We've got one of our current year 9 students is going to MIT for the course with other students from around the world in October. So that's open to those in year 10 and 12. So this year we have one student who will be in year 10 who's attending that. And every year, a member of staff goes to MIT for teacher training. So to really develop the most up-to-date skills in terms of STEAM provision for our students. And Fran, our wonderful head of science, is going this June. The Global Campus is the online platform through Nord Anglia that connects our students to students from all around the world. And that takes the form of competitions, most recently a brilliant short story science fiction writing competition, and this Global Campus debate. So we had 2 teams of debaters, and they debated against a Nord Anglia school in Houston, Texas, and a Nord Anglia school in Le Mans in Switzerland. And as you can see, this took place online, but were highly successful. And round 2 takes place just after the spring break. So our students got some great feedback from experts and a really good opportunity to debate with some very successful teams from around the world. There's been a whole host of supercurricular highlights this term alone, and just some of those are an MUN conference that was held in Oxford. You can see on your screen there with Mark Johnson. Our first ever ski trip, which was hugely exciting, to Italy, and will become very much an annual feature for our students. We got some great skiers and snowboarders. We had World Book Day, which happens every year in early March. You can see a range of very entertaining costumes, mostly from staff members on the steps of Ovingdean Hall in the photo there. And British Science Week. So British Science Week, there's a theme and there are lots of exciting resources and competitions that happen all over the country. And for us, there was a really exciting programme of competitions and lectures and workshops and opportunities for our students. You can see a picture there of one of the lunchtime lectures that was led by our Year 12 students with Fran on a pioneering female scientist. There were moments during this term when I would walk around either at lunchtime or after school, and it felt like every corner of the campus was being used. Here was a group of students preparing for a debate. Here was a group of students working on their rocketry project with a teacher in the makerspace. There was a group of students playing sport outside, and there was a lecture going on that was led by a staff member or a group of older students. And there's been so much activity, and it's really good opportunities for our students just to develop their talents and their passions as they move through the college. One of our themed weeks, which I think is really important, was our Wellbeing Week. This was the initiative, entirely student-led, of our student council. We've got a very impressive student council, and they started officially at the beginning of this term, having gone through a transitional and election process last term. And I meet with them every 2 weeks. They have a big meeting as a council with a member of the senior leadership team once a week. And they've got really exciting remit, whether they want to improve our equality and diversity approach across the college, or whether they want to run events, or whether they want to give feedback. Maybe they'll have meetings with the catering team to talk specifically about food. They've really already made such an impact, and as individuals, they're really developing their leadership skills, and it's very impressive. Their big initiative this term was Wellbeing Week. Now, we talk a lot about wellbeing here at OIC Brighton, and I think it's worth understanding where we come from. So we recognise that the programme we have is one of high academic standards, high levels of assessment, and an expectation for independence, self-discipline and motivation. And those are really difficult things to ask of our young people. And the reality is that for some people that can be quite stressful. Now, the other thing that's important in terms of our context is that lots of our students have come from overseas. This might be the first time they're living and studying away from home in the UK. And that can make them quite vulnerable because they need a lot of support and guidance and help to develop those independent skills and that resilience to be working in a different environment. So given that context of our programme, we knew how important it would be for us to have a wellbeing programme that really meets the needs of our students. And that's why we have our ROCKS programme, which is based on the New Economic Foundation's 5 Ways to Wellbeing, a really well-proven, well-evidenced approach to wellbeing that's adopted by lots of big organisations. And so when the Student Council puts together their plans for Wellbeing Week, we thought about how this works in terms of our ROCKS programme, but also more importantly, how we can really elevate and enhance our students' wellbeing at what can be a very stressful time for them in the run-up to public exams. And so you can see just a selection of the activities that we did last week during Wellbeing Week. It was dressing up in twin outfits with one of your friends, or coming to school in your pajamas, or it was learning something new, or going out and being active, whether that was beach volleyball or football, or they went off to play badminton off campus. So these were all things that we say you need to do in order to enhance your wellbeing. So we were out planting flowers. We had a lunchtime lecture about the psychology of social media use and how that impacts wellbeing. So a really important opportunity both for our student leaders to be really impressive, make a big impact on the wider community, for all of our students to focus on their wellbeing and understanding what they need to do to really improve. and look after themselves at a busy time, but also a chance for us as a community to come together. And it ended with an ice cream van last Friday afternoon, which I think was a very good way to end Wellbeing Week, and lots of ice creams were eaten. So just a few photographs from what was a really lovely week involving students in pyjamas, teachers in school uniform, lots of games, lots of time outdoors, all things that are proven to enhance our students' well-being. I think it's worth also highlighting some really impressive individual achievements that are very recent. We have Year 11 students entered the National ISA STEAM competition, so the Independent Schools Association, and that's the sciences, mathematics and arts competition. And the idea was that they put forward a proposal for a project of their own devising. And Andy in Year 11 reached the final, which happened last Friday, and on Monday we heard that he came third nationally. His project was about pectin fibre, creating biodegradable and therefore completely recyclable and sustainable clothing. Really fascinating, really drawing on his love of science and really way beyond the GCSE science that he's currently studying. And so we're really proud of that national recognition for one of our young scientists. Anna in Year 12 entered the articulation competition. This is a national competition that's run by the National Gallery, one of the very big famous art galleries in London. This runs every year for sixth form students, so Year 12 and 13 students. And we had a competition at school in which lots of our students put forward these incredible speeches about a piece of art that they're fascinated by and what their interpretation of that piece of art is. So we had some wonderful speeches from a whole group of Year 12 students. Anna then won the regional competition, which was held against other schools in the southeast of the UK, and went through to the grand final, which was held yesterday in London at the British Library. So Anna was one of only 10 students to be selected for the grand final, and this is of over 1,800 entrants across the country. And so I was lucky enough to attend with her, and her presentation was extraordinary, and in fact so were all of the other 9 presentations. It was attended by really important figures from across the art world, the National Gallery and the Tate and the British Library. So a fantastic opportunity, and we're very proud to have reached the grand final. You can see Jamie with his team of rocketry students. They have their regional competition tomorrow, the UK rocketry competition. They have had to design rockets that reach a certain altitude and come down without breaking a raw egg that the rocket holds. And it has to be done within a certain speed. So it's a highly technical engineering competition. And Gary, our computer teacher, and Jamie, our chemist, have been working with the team on that. So they are off to that competition tomorrow. If they can get through the national round, then they have to go to the international competition in Paris next. So they're hugely excited about that. And we've got some very impressive budding rocket scientists amongst our students. I'd like to give you some updates about boarding. I think we've had some parental feedback about whether it's weekend activities or changes to boarding arrangements, relationships between boarding staff and students. And so this has been a really key area of focus for us this term. And that's ensuring that our students feel like, for the reasons I described when I was talking about well-being earlier, that they feel a sense of home from home, that they feel supported, that they know who they can go and speak to if in need. I'm very excited that Tom Layton, who is our new director of boarding, joins us after the spring break. He's been on campus several times this term to start meeting students, get to know the team, and really kind of have an effective handover ready to take on that role. He will be resident here on campus as well, in the lodge at the main gate of the campus. So a real strengthening, I think, of our boarding provision. Tom's background is as head of boarding at a very large school on the other side of Brighton, Steyning Grammar. He's a linguist by training, and has experience with boarders in his care from over 30 different nationalities. And I think that his expertise will be a real strength. So we're very much looking forward to welcoming Tom. And importantly for me, and importantly for you as parents, his is a really warm, emotionally intelligent, supportive approach. And I think that the students are really going to feel that warmth and support from him. There's been a real push on enhancing the weekend provision for our boarders, making sure that every house has exciting things planned for them socially, and to unwind at the weekends. And this, as you can see, ranges from going off bowling at the marina locally to cookery in houses, crafts in houses. There's been a lot of karaoke, I believe. So really lovely opportunities for the students to have fun when they have some time off over the weekends. We had our parent satisfaction survey results published this term back in January, and there's been lots of really useful and interesting feedback for us, some of it quite specific about perhaps particular provision, particular subjects or particular sports that students would like to see introduced, and some really lovely positive feedback, as you can see on screen, which I thought were worth sharing with you. So recognition of the lovely environment that we have here. And as I say, recent changes to expectations have meant that there really is a sense of very kind of purposeful study around campus at the moment. The academic activities, some of which I've been sharing with you today, and importantly, the happiness and safety of our students. So it's been lovely feedback, and we'll continue to share that, as well as actions that have arisen from the feedback that we've received as we progress. And then I'd just like to finish by giving you some heads up about things that are upcoming, both just in the final days of this term and during the spring break, but also in the summer term. The summer term is a short one. Easter is very late this year. And so it will be a very kind of intense and packed programme through the summer term. But obviously a real focus on examinations, which begin immediately after the spring holiday. Tomorrow we have our first ever whole school photograph, which we're very excited about. We'll have both year group and whole school photos taken tomorrow. And it's a really important opportunity for us to commemorate and mark this first ever graduating cohort, and also us as a young college and this exciting second year. So you'll have received links as parents if you wanted to buy your child's either whole school photograph or year group photographs. They will be available in a couple of weeks' time. We've got a geography focused trip going off to Iceland in the final week of the spring holiday for year 9 and year 10 students, which looks hugely exciting. I'm quite envious that I don't get the chance to go, but I think it's particularly interesting for our students of geography. The Duke of Edinburgh expeditions take place in Enrichment Week in May, so that's at the end of May, and they'll be going off to different parts of the country, rural areas, for both practice and real expeditions for the different levels, bronze, silver and gold expeditions. You're all warmly welcome and invited to our prize giving and graduation ceremony, which takes place on the 27th of June, so right at the end of the summer term. This will be a formal opportunity to both award a number of students for their achievements over the course of the year, but also to celebrate our graduating cohort. And they have a big graduation ball, which we have up at the Amex, so the big football stadium here in Brighton, on the 26th of June, which we're looking forward to. We have our end of term concert. There's lots of exciting preparations underway for that, including some performances from our very talented teachers, but mostly our very talented students, on the 25th of June. And that will take place in a marquee here in front of the college. We have residentials for years 9 and 10 that go out on the 7th of June, and that's at the end of the internal exams week. So the summer exams week is that first week of June. There are inter-house competitions next term. We have inter-house basketball and inter-house chess. We're hosting a universities fair again at the end of the summer term, so that our particularly year 12 students, but all of our students can go and interact with representatives of different top universities and better understand the kinds of programs and opportunities that those universities represent. In the not too distant future, like I said, it's going to be a really busy and exciting summer term for all of our students, and we'll continue to keep you updated, but I hope that you'll be able to be involved, possibly remotely, in some of these exciting activities. I wanted to just share briefly some of the different ways in which we communicate, because I think it's so important for families to understand that obviously there is the calendar on the parent portal, so that would include your child's exams if they're in an exam class, but also all of the events and things that are happening are all available there in the calendar. If you're not sure how to access that, then please just email inquiries, because that's a really great spot to sort of check for what's coming up in your child's term. Obviously, you receive our weekly newsletter, and we want to keep you updated with all the exciting things that are happening week on week. We are just finalising the Head Start programme for August for those of you with children in year 12 going into year 13. And that's focused also on our one-year GCSE, incoming one-year GCSE and incoming year 12 students. You've received term dates for next academic year. Again, if you haven't seen those, please double check that they are on our website. And we are also about to send out examination fee details for those of you with children who are about to take public examinations. We are preparing an EPQ flyer and overview, really useful for those in year 12 who want to see the timeline and deadlines. But I know that for those of you with younger children as well, it's an opportunity to kind of understand what the EPQ programme is and how we organise and run it here in OIC Brighton. Do follow our socials. I don't know whatever your preferred platforms are, but you can find us online with lots of updates. I'm off to China and Hong Kong in the next week or so. I'm meeting current families in Beijing on Friday evening and meeting current families in Hong Kong the following weekend. So if you're able to be in either of those regions and would like to come and meet me, then I'd love to see you in person. We've also started Saturday coffee mornings on a monthly basis here on campus in Brighton. And again, if you're able to come at any point, then please just let us know, because it's lovely for us to be able to engage more directly with our families and hear from you, and for you to get to know more about what we're doing here at OIC Brighton. I'm very happy to take any questions you might have. Please use the Q&A icon you can see, and we'll answer those for you. But either way, it's been really lovely to be able to give you an update. I always enjoy these termly update webinars because it gives me the chance to look back on the term and just digest all of the wonderful things that have happened and the brilliant achievements of our students to date. So if you do have any questions, we'll all stay online for a few minutes and answer those as best we can. But thank you very much for your time and for your attendance. Just a question about term dates. So departures are next Friday, the 4th, until midday on the Saturday, just to support students with flexibility around flights and so on if they're travelling. And I think students have now submitted all of their details. For years 11, 12 and 13, they can return to campus from the 22nd of April, which is the Tuesday after Easter. And that's in order to give them a chance to recover from jet lag, if that's applicable, and to ensure that they have, time to settle in and revise quietly before examinations start. There is one public exam happening that week before term officially starts on the 28th, but that only affects a very small number of students who are aware. Otherwise, exams begin more or less straight away when we get back, but really in early May, and then go on until the exams contingency day is the 24th of June. And the contingency day means that if for some reason an examination was cancelled or couldn't run, it would get pushed back to that contingency day. So all students need to be provisionally available to sit an additional exam on that day in case of some unforeseen circumstances. Lovely. Well, as I say, if you have any issues accessing our calendar or term dates or similar, then feel free to reach out to inquiries@oicbrighton.com. And do enjoy the holiday when it comes. And we look forward to seeing you hopefully very soon. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.